Hello everybody, welcome back to another reasonable price prediction, the series where we try to figure out where your favorite altcoin could be headed. Now today we are back with Avalanche, and spoiler alert if you can't watch the rest of this video, but basically our last video has come true more or less to a T on the US dollar chart. And what we kind of said last video was that, well, we compared the 2021 initial rally to what we're currently experiencing, and we set these two support and resistant bands, and we pointed out a return to a low that we visited. Now, during the video that I made last time, we were basically here, or even here maybe, I can't remember. It was early February basically, and we basically said that this is most likely going to be our low, and we'll come back and revisit this support that we tested a month or two back, like we did over here. And now, while we haven't actually retested this yet, it does look like we are on track to. Again, this resistance is at $47.58, so $47.60 basically. And last cycle, or the last bull run, excuse me, it was $40 basically, or $39.60. Funnily enough, that's 60 again, but nothing too special. A bit of I'm going to kind of be a bit bearish today on Avalanche, and I know I personally don't like being bearish on these altcoins because when the market's like this and Bitcoin is close to its all-time high, I want to be bullish. I want to like celebrate, but when it comes to money, I'm extremely cautious, especially when it's money that I've worked hard to earn. And I don't like throwing that away. So I want to minimize my risk while increasing my potential reward, if you will. So, and that includes not missing the high. So I want to not time the high and sell at the highest point, but I want to know when Avalanche or X crypto is going to be at these peaks, and I want to sell into them instead of out of them on the way down, if you get me. Once I've missed my golden opportunity and I'm now selling at $50 instead of $130. And so today we're going to basically look at the same chart as we did last time, but I'm also going to focus on the moves that we made last time. And again, we've spoken about this with multiple different coins, but this term or this hypothesis of reduced volatility, that isn't really a hypothesis because it happens all over, not only the crypto space, but the stock market as well. As a cryptocurrency or a stock grows in value and more shares are created, like with a cryptocurrency, and those shares become more expensive, it takes a lot more money to move the price of those shares. So when Avalanche was here, it's much more easy to move the price of Avalanche up like this, 350%, compared to when it is now, when it moves 160% in a similar move over a similar time frame. So I'm sure you're all aware of this. And basically what we've seen in comparison, because we are comparing this move here to the current move that we are going through, and what we saw was this first time we moved from our low, our weekly close low. I'm not taking this huge sell-off because it was obviously some kind of manipulation or whatever. I'm not sure, maybe it wasn't, but I'm just going to take it from this weekly close low. And we're bringing it up to where we set our support. And this support comes from where we basically hesitate on Avalanche before moving up to the next step. And we had the exact same move here, more or less, where we had our strong weeks up, 1 week of a small bit of red, followed by a weak green, where we basically come back to where we were, and then we push back above and set in our resistance, which is the white line here. So this blue move measures the bottom from the support, and it's been a 350% of a move. Now, if we take a look at what we are currently dealing with, or what we currently most recently experienced, Avalanche did a 164% move, and that was from the weekly open that was the low. And what do we notice? 164% is roughly half of 353, because if you double 164, you're left with 328, basically 330%. So about a 20% discrepancy in range, but ultimately pretty similar territory. So then what do we get as well when we take this pause and then our next move up from the weekly closes as well? I'm not measuring the wicks, I'm measuring from weekly open to weekly close. We also get this first cycle a 200% move, so a bit smaller, but still a very strong move to the upside. And then this cycle, what do we get? We get a 100% move. So again, slash down the middle, roughly half of what we got last cycle, or last time we saw a move like this, because technically they are in the same cycle. And then what happened after this? We retested a low that was about halfway between sort of the support and the resistance. If we come over here, we set a low that's a bit below halfway, but it's still pretty low. And if you actually take the weekly open, it's bang on halfway, more or less. And again, if you take the weekly open and close, bang on halfway. We just had a stronger wick down this time, But that basically cemented the same type of a move. And then what did we have once we had this wick down? We had a push to the upside where we retested this resistance. Now this is where we're getting into speculation territory, because obviously we haven't tested this resistance yet, but I would probably assume we'll come back up to this in the near future. And then it's kind of whether do we break above, or do we have a strong pullback and test this support like we did last time? Now, it kind of depends on a lot of things. I think if Bitcoin breaks above its all-time high, a lot of money will come out of altcoins. And the altcoins that will feel that the worst will most likely be the higher cap ones, because the people in lower cap alts are probably less likely to sell them for Bitcoin. But while Bitcoin is rallying, people are happy to move out of their 15 ranked alt into number 1 for a little while to catch the ride up. And this basically creates sell pressure for altcoins and boosts up Bitcoin. And we've been seeing this all over, like for the last month at least. People have been selling their altcoins for Bitcoin. And we'll see this with Avalanche when we check out the BTC pair. But it's been happening all across the crypto space. People are selling their altcoins for Bitcoin because they've seen that Bitcoin is moving while their favorite altcoins aren't really. I mean, if you take today, for example, Bitcoin's moved 5%, whereas Solana's moved 1%. Avalanche has moved 2%. You have coins like ADA that have moved 8%, which is impressive and has outperformed Bitcoin, but the majority of alts are underperforming Bitcoin. And if you stretch that out to the 30-day, Bitcoin is in the lead of all of them, including Cardano, including Avalanche, including Solana, all these other cryptos. And what that kind of makes me think is we will probably see some kind of a move like we did last time, where we test this support while Bitcoin's really pumping. And then when Bitcoin has a pullback, which we probably will get at some point, whether that's before we get an all-time high or after, but when Bitcoin gets a pullback, potentially in the near future, altcoins will collapse against Bitcoin. And because of that, also on their US dollar charts. But again, this is speculation at this point. I have no way of knowing for sure, but this is what I think would probably play out if these conditions are met that I've just said. So assuming that I'm correct, which I am, occasionally, very rare occasions. No, but assuming I'm correct and we do return to this low, what kind of a move can we expect from Avalanche? Well, last cycle we did a 10x from this support. So if we're following a similar rule of half of what we got last cycle, which is what we've seen, we can expect a 500% move from this low, which funnily enough sets Avalanche into this sort of strong sell territory that we revisited last time. It brings us to the same price of about 140 AVAX. So we have a few things here that are lining up pretty nicely and complementing each other with what could likely happen. Now, if you're bullish on Avalanche and you think it's a gaming coin, it's going to get a lot of attention, you might want to take this 10x and move it over here. And if you get that, you're moving from a price of $20, $20, $23, excuse me, to somewhere around $230. Maybe that's more of what you have in mind. Me personally, I'll probably be selling a lot of my Avalanche when we get up to these $120 levels. But that's just me personally. I also kind of think this way because the way this current bull trend is going, it does seem to me that not only okay, very quickly, here we see that we get a first move up from a low, and then we set our high here, and then we get a move down, and then one move up. So we get two moves up, basically. And in between those two moves, we have a pullback. What we've currently seen here is probably our one move. Now, assuming that we do have the two moves like we did last time, which is, of course, not set in stone. We could have 5, we could have 10, we could have 50, we could just have this one. There's no way of knowing. But assuming with what's happening all over the crypto space, we're seeing these strong moves up, and we're getting close to all-time highs on altcoins. And by close, I mean we're 1/3 of the way there. To me, it looks like that if we're going to have a bull run in the next few months, after that, like through the halving, earlier than when we usually would, I would have tempered expectations because we're not in the monetary environment for a bull run like we saw here. So people are comparing what we're seeing now to last cycle, 2021, like I am. I'm comparing 2021 to now. But this environment here was completely different. First of all, you had millions of new people flooding into crypto and dumping money into crypto. Secondly, people were being given money for doing nothing. So they had so much spare money. So not only were there millions of new people coming into crypto, there were millions of new people coming into crypto and dumping 500 quid a week 300 quid a week into things like crypto and stocks, and this caused huge rallies. Naturally it caused huge rallies. What have we got now? We've got high inflation, high basis points. People are defaulting on their credit card loans. This is in America. It's at an all-time high. Or not? Yeah, I think it is at an all-time high. We are still in quantitative tightening, which means basis points aren't being reduced. We are still at extremely high levels of tight monetary policy, and it doesn't seem like that's going to change within the next few months. So if you're expecting that, okay, maybe let's say we reach this top and it takes us 20 weeks to come back and touch the low, we reach this top, and now 20 weeks, that puts us just after the halving, we're back down here, and then you expect our bull run to take place in the next 20 weeks following that. So that puts us roughly around September time of 2024. If you're hoping that it plays out like it did last time, that means your peak of your bull run is roughly in September, which could actually hold some weight, because September time could be when potentially the Fed starts cutting rates. People think it will probably be sooner, but a lot of people are calling for May. So September is a bit of a stretch, but you never know. Ultimately, you're saying we'll peak in our bull run roughly sort of halfway through the Fed starts cutting rates, because they often cut and increase rates for anywhere from like 8 months to a year. If they start cutting in May, June, July, August, September, you're 4 months through, you're somewhere close to halfway through. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. But again, if you've done your own research and you're confident in what you think is going to happen, by all means, go for it. And let me just say as well that having said all this bearish stuff, I do think Avalanche will do well in the near future. I think if you jump forward 20 weeks from now, Avalanche will be in an even better price than it is at the moment. Personally, I think there's just too much hype again at the moment. Even if we don't really have all that many retail buyers coming in, it's more institutional at the moment. And I kind of have a feeling that I'm not going to get into, but I kind of have a feeling that this institutional buying has caused huge rallies. But because there's no retail at the moment, we will probably have a die back down. And then sort of 2025 time, that's when retail investors will start moving in, when potentially we're back at low rates, potentially. And now Bitcoin is more readily available because you can buy it through ETFs, and potentially Ethereum could be bought through ETFs, and God knows what else next. But it would just make more sense in my brain. But again, the markets don't make sense. So having ranted for that long, we'll quickly swap to the Bitcoin Avalanche pair. And again, pretty similar story to what we saw last time. We kind of compared these downward moves to this upward move, to this upward move. And then we said that we kind of put in this double top here before seeing a rejection. What we're currently going through is we haven't seen that double top play out. And instead of breaking back up, like I initially thought in the video, I said we'll probably paint this U again, where we come down and hit our double top, only to then fall to the support. Here we seem to be going straight down to the support, and this supports my statement of a lot of people selling their altcoins for Bitcoin, because again, Bitcoin is just outperforming most altcoins, and realistically it's probably your safest bet in crypto. So why wouldn't you move out of your altcoin that's underperforming Bitcoin when it's like altcoins even riskier and you hold them for better rewards? But if Bitcoin is giving better rewards over the general crypto space, why wouldn't you take less risk for better rewards? That's literally what every investor wants, ever. So a lot of people are moving into Bitcoin because it's like a safe haven at the moment. It's giving you good rewards. And then potentially in God knows when, maybe when we break below this support, I don't know, that we're currently seeing. The support currently is about 6,000 Satoshis. Maybe when we come close to the support, Avalanche will have a bit of a bounce on its Bitcoin pair. But again, if Bitcoin does go to its all-time high, I could definitely see Avalanche falling drastically on its Bitcoin pair. And not just Avalanche, the whole altcoin space in general falling on its Bitcoin pair. So kind of a similar problem. Again, what can you expect when Avalanche comes down to this level? If it's going to play out last time, we got a 600% move. Again, what we talk about, what has happened with Avalanche compared to, this last move compared to what we're currently going through. If we compare, the move down to the move up, we got a 240% move here compared to a much stronger 650% move here. So basically a 3x, or a third of what we got last time. We're getting a third of it now. If we get another from this low on the white to the weekly close, 500% move, maybe you could expect a move of 160, 150. and that would value Avalanche at about 15,000 Satoshis. Definitely not unreasonable because, of course, we've been higher on Avalanche. Again, it kind of depends what kind of bull run you think this is going to be. If you think it's going to occur very soon, then you think it's a bull run that's going to take place in harsh monetary policy, in a harsh monetary environment. So realistically, you should probably temper your expectations. If you think this bull run is going to last an extremely long time and we're going to be putting in all-time highs in 2025, then you're hoping for a lighter, more friendly monetary policy that has, stimulus checks, stimulus packages, money is being printed, so therefore money is flowing down the risk curve and eventually reaching crypto, because these people that are getting these stimulus checks are most likely retail investors and they want to jump back in like they did in 2021. Then you can expect much bigger gains, in my opinion. Now, these could be famous last words. In a way, I hope they are, because full disclosure, I own Avalanche. So if Avalanche goes and does a 20x from here, I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy. But this is just what I think will happen based on what has happened with Avalanche. And again, this is solely based on price. Avalanche might announce something crazy like backed by the American government, something crazy that could launch its price high into the air. But again, that's way too speculative for me. I'm just here for the price charts. But if you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Comment down below what altcoin you want next, and also what I missed / got wrong in your opinion. Always very interested to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and peace.